Lake Station Community Advocate and Educator here, people. Back again. I mentioned this from my last video of accepting excuses and things like that. But it shows exactly how important, or at least a little bit, as to how important our playgrounds really are and why they should operate and be well kept. And anybody who's against that, please let me know. I want to hear more about you and what your ideas are. But here's a little thought. Think of your playground as an outdoor living room. If I've caught your attention, I hope you come prepared, listening ears, pencil and paper, and I hope you're ready to learn, because that's kind of a challenging question and a new way to look at your playground and your green spaces. Our playgrounds are outdoor living rooms. Now, why would you use that weird analogy? Well, it's kind of funny because, our actual living rooms in our homes were never called living rooms. And they were called living rooms because this is where the place of your loved one who passed away would be actually in their casket in a home. And everybody would congregate into this one room, which eventually called the living room. And so, because families came and they congregated and they interacted in a whole new way and in a whole new level, it became our living room. So do your homework on that, but I want you to think about what I just said. Our playgrounds are like outdoor living rooms. And when you think about that, as a community, it's the place that your community should be congregating, where people should be comfortable, where people should feel accepted, where people should feel loved, where people should feel that they're allowed to enjoy themselves as a single individual or as a group or whatever the case is. Now, recently and lately, our playgrounds have not been so inviting to families. They haven't been so accepting of new ideas. They haven't been accepting of getting those problematic things fixed. But playgrounds should be well designed. They should be welcoming designs, and that's for everyone. The whole community benefits from playgrounds, by the way. So try to protect it from development or complacency of our leadership. No, our leadership should not be lazy. No, they should not be using our playground areas for development because they need tax money. That's not what those playgrounds are for. So that's one thing I want to challenge you to think about. The next thing I want you to think about is playgrounds should be like 7 days a week, 365 public places. And what I mean by that is, well, the longer that residents stay at our green spaces and stay at our playgrounds, the more lively, the more safe it actually is, and the more it stays that way. And how can that be safe if there's people there? Well, the more that there are families there that are enjoying their time with their family, more friends, more families show up. And studies show that the more that there's things of this nature, crime and those who want to cause trouble stay away more. And it's a good thing for our community. The third thing is playgrounds and green spaces are amazing for our youngsters, and we all know that, but we don't really look at the playgrounds in a more critical way. We don't realize that playgrounds use not just critical thinking skills, but they also use gross motor skills and fine motor skills and social skills within our children. And let's face it, they get to run off a whole lot of energy. This is where they learn to be independent. This is where they learn to interlink with other children and socially. That later comes along within their lives to where they know how to interact properly with social interactions. And like I said, they're fine in their gross motor skills come about. Our seniors. It's a great place for our seniors to be. It meets their social and their physical needs. They want to get out and about and walk and interact and see the families, and it reflects on their mind that their family and how their children used to be younger and what they used to do. It's a great thing for the community. And by the way, that also enriches our community as well. It enriches the interactions, it enriches the community, the children, and we gain to come and get a respect for one another and a whole new level. And not just because, well, the mayor said so, or his administration said so, or her administration said so, or whatever the case is. Overlook all that manipulative, game-playing, psychological mumbo-jumbo. Playgrounds are just wholesome places where our community should be and enjoying throughout the year. And another element within our playground is they should be of different sizes. And there's a number of different reasons of what's going on at each playground. Each playground should have different elements for the community residents that meet different, well, expectations. Excuse my little hiccup there. I don't know where that come from. But, you know, it draws attention to a lot of what's going on within a community. You can see a community thriving if you see new equipment, you see new, not just mulch. Putting mulch up on top of mulch is just putting lip on a stick, lipstick on a pig, or more paint up on paint. You're not fixing anything. You're refreshing it. There's a difference. So putting mulch on a playground isn't doing anything, but fixing fences, fixing the equipment, making sure that the busted slides or the missing swings are there, making sure that there's adequate lighting for your playgrounds at night, making sure that there's no electricity that's exposed to the children, making sure that there's none of these issues is actually very, very important for our community. So I hope you learned a little bit more, at least my thoughts and some other thoughts on why community playgrounds and green spaces are so important and what we should be looking for. Because they are very enriching places for our community. And I've been speaking about this for years. It is a very enriching place. We want the schools to be that way. We want churches to be that way. We want places of business to be enriching and everything for families. But we have gotten away from making sure that our playgrounds are just as enriching as any of those other places. And I feel that we've gotten away from that because, well, playgrounds don't bring the tax money that everybody's craving because there's massive amounts of debt and bad ways of business within your town. That's a whole new level. And if you want to get on that subject, please go look at some of my other videos. I address a lot of these issues there. However, I'm a Lake Station community advocate and educator. Hopefully you learned something, and I hope you did. If you didn't, that's okay. Don't watch me no more. To my haters, thank you for following me because I know you got lots to say, but community advocacy works for the community, for the residents, and not for a pat on the back. But, hey, be an eagle, don't be a crow. Challenge the status quo because if you don't, you never know what you can achieve on your own or together as a group for the community and for the long haul. Try to demand some accountability, some transparency, and some integrity from your leadership because, quite frankly, the residents, your family, your children, your grandchildren deserve it. They deserve better leadership. So demand it. You have a voice. And don't be put off with, we'll keep you informed. Till next time, people.